So what we're doing with this phase is the standing part. So like I had talked about the triangle, you got sitting, standing, moving. They are not mutually exclusive of each other. So if some of you folks want to sit, you can still do the exercise that we're going to do. However, if you want to stand, we go to the next level of it. So there's another trinity to think about. It's observation, contemplation, and meditation. So I throw a lot of this stuff out there, whether it's the exercises or a little stuff up on the whiteboard from earlier, and you see it. It's like, okay, that's the physical thing, just seeing it. And then you take some of it and maybe think about it. That's the mental aspect of it. And then you let it kind of rest, and then we come back to it, and that's more the meditation part of it, where you just kind of don't put a lot of thought by it, but maybe see what comes to you. And some of the stuff might resonate with you more than others. So to go back to some of the stuff we did earlier, the breathing part, I'd like you to put your hand on your stomach. And when we breathe in, we want to make our stomach push out. When you exhale, try to pull your stomach in. So when we were sitting in the chair, I didn't really highlight this part so much. I was just trying to get you engaged in, breathing slower. This is to help the breathing capacity. And there's benefits between breathing slower and breathing deeper. And ideally, we want to get both of them. So let's just do this a few times. No special way to stand or anything right now, but just get the diaphragm to move. So take a deep breath, and as much as you can, just kind of relax, but let the stomach kind of push out. And then to exhale, try to pull the stomach muscles back. And you'll probably find it's easier to pull the stomach muscles back with squishing than it is to try to relax and let the stomach go out. And it's really not the stomach we're moving, it's the abdominal muscles that move the diaphragm. So when we're all sitting here, as of recently, unless we're singing, you're probably moving your diaphragm maybe about a centimeter or an inch, just normal breathing. And we don't think about it much, and it just does that much movement. The diaphragm is this umbrella-shaped muscle that's like right about here on my body, below the organs and the lungs. Below the lungs, above the organs. And every time we move that, that's what draws the breath in deeper. So if we focus on breathing and doing the squishing and relaxing, you can get your diaphragm muscle to move up to about 10 centimeters. That's considerably different, considering that most people, as you get older, you breathe more and more shallow. We lose the ability to breathe deep as we get older. There's a lot of different reasons. It's just we're talking and we're breathing. People used to smoke while they're breathing. It really reduces their, lung capacity. So there's many reasons for the breathing shallow. This helps us to breathe deeper. If you can move your diaphragm that much more, you're probably going to be beyond that 1/3 that most of us end up breathing from. So what we're going to start to do now is put our feet apart, shoulder width, everything lines up, your shoulders, your hips, your knees, your toes, and let your hips sink. This gives us a bit of a foundation of stability. So our center of gravity is lower, so we should feel more stable. So I'm going to get my music turned on here real quick too. Just a little background music. Not some podcast that I was listening to earlier. There we go. Okay, so this is our anchor to give us our stability. Now everything's going to go back to the top of our body with our hands and our fingers. So think of the top here. Make your arms open up to make a heart shape, like a Valentine. And at the bottom of that point of the Valentine heart, that's where your real heart muscle's at. And then push down. So like I talked about earlier about shapes, this isn't one of the classic geometric shapes really, the heart, right? Valentine heart. But for this purpose, we're using that shape. So it ends up looking like a heart-shaped lollipop, the arm motion. So I expand and open up my lungs and chest and shoulders, and then when I get down to here, I'm closing and contracting, and then pushing down. So this is another way to help move the diaphragm muscle. When your arms are in this gesture, it's hard to fill up your chest, but you can move your stomach, and the stomach moves the diaphragm. So like I said, we're going to keep working our way down sequentially. So this is arms up, head up. Arms down, chin slightly down. So that's going to start to give us this neck motion of kind of rolling up and down. Relax your eyes. Let your eyelids become a little heavy. When the eyelids become heavy, you can soften your focus. So you really don't need to stare like, oh, what's he doing? Just let your eyes relax. Take the tension off your eyes, and that takes tension off your optic nerve, which again is connected to your nervous system. So every now and then you might do a little shift, side to side, a little bit forward and back. And you'll start to feel different parts of tension, like on your lower back or your neck or your shoulders. And that little shift, you'll be able to start to release and relax the tension there. So again, we're working our way down. So I got my arms, I got my eyes. Let's focus on breathing through the nose. As much as you can, try and breathe through your nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. So that keeps our mouth moist, so we're not thinking about, wow, I need to go get a drink. Can I have my bottle real quick? No. Keep your mouth moist by keeping your mouth closed. The more you breathe through your nose, your nervous system, again, knows what you're doing here. It knows that you're hacking it, like I was talking about earlier. And there's a chemical that starts to be released in your sinuses. It's called nitric oxide. That's another messenger molecule that opens up your veins and arteries. So your circulation gets better by breathing through your nose. This is great stuff, isn't it? It's all connected. All right, so we're still working our way down. We did the hands, the head, the eyes, the nose. Squish your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Keeping your mouth closed, let the tongue go to the bottom of your mouth. So not only does that help keep your mouth dry, it stimulates your saliva glands to keep your mouth even more moist. Okay, so now we jump down to the heart. We already kind of did this. We're pushing down and pulling back. So I'm still doing each step of the way, linking this together. So I got to keep thinking about all parts. Hands and arms, head up, eyes relaxed, breathing through the nose, mouth closed, squish the stomach muscles. So we just keep working our way down. You're not going to remember all these, but it's going to give you a little juggle, a mental juggle of trying to manage all these pieces and parts. Some of you noticed I'm shifting forward each time. So now I focus on my hips moving. When I push my hips forward, the weight goes to my ball of my foot and my toes. Here I'm flat on my foot. I shift my hips back. My weight goes to my heel. And I can feel now I'm moving from my fingers to my toes. My whole body's kind of connected like a big wave of movement. And anywhere I feel tension, like in my arms, my neck, my shoulders, I just put a little focus on moving that area or letting it drop, letting it dissolve or sink into the ground. So we're coming up on 5 minutes. I can tell the song's winding down, so the exercise is going to wind down. So when we go to finish it up, there's a little different exercise we do here now. We're going to put our hands to the sides like we're splashing water, and then we raise our arms as if we're twisting from the wrist and the forearm. And then, like you're holding a ball, bring it down in front. Okay, we're going to do one more to the right, splash low, twist high as you look up to the right, and then chin down. One more straight up, splash, twist. I don't want to lose my headset, but look up. And then look down. Lock your knees and elbows just for a moment. You can see a little tension on my arms, my legs, and then relax your elbows, relax your knees. So that is a standing meditation. Some people use meditation as an equated word for prayer. Like, I'm going to go meditate on that. I'm going to go pray on that. So sometimes the word's interchangeable. Sometimes people get a little freaked out when they say meditation. They think you're going to go sit in lotus position with your fingers like this. And I can't do that. I can't sit in lotus position. My legs don't work like that. I don't think my legs ever worked like that. So that in itself is a very good calming exercise that starts to teach you about your own stability. And if you didn't feel comfortable doing that little bit of rocking, then you just sit down and you could still do the arm movement, you can still do the deep breathing, you're just taking away the part of the exercise that might help you develop more stability. So there's this saying that's starting to go around more. You're going to notice it now that I plant it, you're going to notice it more. It's becoming good at something you're bad at. Or you might even hear getting good at something that you suck at, okay? So there's something terrible, like I can't learn French. I'm going to France in 2 months. I can't speak French. Well, I'll probably learn something in the process of just trying to learn a few words, and that'll make the trip better, right? But my mind has to rewire to do that. So it's called neuroplasticity, where your brain starts to get comfortable trying to learn something new and it's not comfortable. So you're kind of doing this balancing act. This is a beginning part of that. So now we're still doing standing, but we're moving into something that's got a little more complexity to it. So I still got my shoulders, hips, knees, toes, same width. Bring your arms up in front like they're floating. And then let your arms drop. Like if you're shaking out a towel that has sand in it, and you're just not really doing it real hard like Paul's doing back there, but we're doing the slow motion version of the shaking of the towel. So if you can think of when you're doing this, that your arms are becoming so light, they're light enough that they're floating. And then when it comes time to drop, they feel like lead. And nothing changed but your perception or how you framed it. That's another common thing you're going to start hearing more of in the news circles or the health industry. It's how do you frame things? So my arms come up, floating, light as a feather. Arms coming down, sinking like lead or concrete, in a pool, sinking to the bottom. So if that's fine, I start to do this hip movement again. So my hips start to shift forward as my arms come up. Almost like I feel like I'm gonna, have to step forward, but not that far. And then when we come down, I shift my hips back. Now my toes become light. So you can exaggerate. If you know your balance, if you're okay with doing it, you can come as far forward as to lift your heels off the ground, an inch or so. And then you could go all the way back and lift your toes again, an inch or so off the ground. If your stability and your balance is not that good, then don't. Just feel where the weight goes. Feel the weight go to the ball of your foot. Feel it go to your heel. And it's more of a sensation that you feel in your own foot. So now if you can do that, when you go to the front, feel your big toe, your little toe, and the ball of your foot. There's a triangle. There's another triangle. I keep talking about triangles, right? So it gives us something to anchor upon. Go to the ball of your foot, big toe, little toe, ball, that's the triangle. Go to your heel. Heel doesn't have much of a shape, it's just flat surface, one point, but you're aware of this. Chin goes up a little, chin goes down a little bit. The movement of our chin affects the direction of our spine. So I'll call this arched, I'll call this rounded. We want to go through both. When you're in school, back in the day, teacher says to you, sit straight, arch your back, what are you doing? And then your generation and my generation, not that far apart, they started to have this posture. But what became of that is a lot of people couldn't touch their toes because they were so upright, and they lost the flexibility in their hamstrings and their lower back. But they had good posture. Now, kids in school, terrible posture. They're hunched over like this. They can touch their toes, but they can't straighten up. So we don't want one or the other. It's not absolute. We want to have the range to go between the two. So this is chin up, feel your lower back slightly arched. Chin down, not just my lower back, but the whole back gets a roundedness to it. So we can't forget about the arms, light as a feather, heavy like lead. We don't forget about the hips. Moving forward, moving back. Most importantly, we don't forget about the breath. Keep breathing, right? So this is still opening our lungs. This is compressing our lungs ever so slightly just from the arms moving the chest. You see the wave? A wave of movement. From the fingers to the shoulders. Shoulders down to the hips, down the spine. From the hips down to the feet, toes, and ankles. So you keep hearing me talk about holistic or whole. This is moving your whole body. This is engaging your body, your mind. The spirit part is the imagery of this lightness and then the heaviness. So again, it's another level of awareness, self-awareness. If we want to get spiritual, I talked about inspiration and breath. First thing when we're born, an inhale. Last thing, an exhale. Let's call it inhalation, exhalation, right? But we're breathing in our life. That's our spirit, right? Breathe in life. Exhale. Exhale the breath. We're not ready to expire yet. Inhale. If we were doing this outside with the fresh air, you would be feeling, again, another level of more. You'll feel that much better. We're not doing it outside because I want to just make it simple and accommodate everybody to be able to do it inside here. So you're starting to hopefully feel this wave, right? So let's go on to the next thing here. I'm going to catch, after we did the front up and down, the next thing to do is to catch a ball. You're going to catch it about your nose with the right hand, your navel with the left. Shift your weight to the left and bring your hand to the side. Just like you're holding a ball in the palm of your hand. And then we come back to the center, a hand by your nose, other hand by your navel, shift to the other hip, reach to the other side. Both hands, pull the ball in like you're pulling the ball in front of your body, and then roll it down the front. So I'm going to do it one more time facing away from you, and then I'll turn the other direction. Inhale. Exhale. When I go side to side, my feet are mostly flat for right now. Don't worry about the ball or the heel. Shift. Look what's going to happen here. It's going to start with our feet, travel up to our hips, and come out at our hand. Same way coming back. Feet, waist, hands and arms. So what comes to mind with that? Anything? A tree. A tree has roots, and then the trunk, and then the leaves and branches kind of can move on their own. Without the root, there's no tree. So without our stability down here, it's hard to move our hips. Our arms really don't make that much of a difference. They're the tree leaves that fall off, and then they grow back. So all these little things that tie into transformation and rebirth and that. So again, we have up, we got down. So now I'm giving you the mirror version. We're going to go towards your left. Shift your hips to the left. Reach your hand to the left. And the hand ends up in the same spot, level with your nose. Now we go to your right. To your right. Right? And then we come back to the center. And then we roll the ball down. So the physical level, again, is just doing it. Move your arms. Move, move, move. The mental level is trying to get your feet where they're supposed to be. They're shoulder width. Your hips need to be bent. Your arms come up to shoulder height as you shift forward. So now we're engaging more thought to what we're doing. More mental engagement. Spiritual level, or self-awareness on the third part, is thinking like that tree. There's the root. Here's our trunk. There's the arms moving like the tree branch and the leaves. Coming back, this is solid and stable. So don't forget to breathe. Inhale. Chin up a little. Exhale. Chin down a little bit. Catch the ball. Push your feet. Shift your waist. Reach with your arm. Same thing going the other direction. catch the ball. Feet, waist, hands and arms. Back to the center. Arch your back a little bit. Dip your chin, round your back a little bit. So that's a bit more of that self-awareness I'm talking about. Always, there's going to be 3 parts, and you choose how much or how little you want to engage those parts. I don't say, okay, got to do the spiritual thing and be aware of every single part of your body. Or, don't worry about all that other stuff, just focus on your feet. No, there's more body parts to it. So hopefully I'm giving you a bit of a spectrum, and you're going to see now, we got the sitting stuff, we got standing. The next thing, we're moving a little bit, but not that much. The next session, we're going to move a bit more, which will mean it's going to look a little different. We're going to move this much, where we step out and shift back. And there's a shifting of the hips, and then movement of the arms. So we're definitely moving a bit more. And this is the same exact thing. Physical exercise, mental engagement, trying to do it, and then the spiritual part, there's like philosophy that goes with each part. This is heaven, expanding. Earth is grounding, down to earth. Hopefully we're down to earth. Mountain, stable, canyon, water. So it's a flow. And then we have, what's next? Push and pull. That's fire and wind or wood. And then this gesture is going to be splitting. Splitting is thunder. So it's like, oh, there's all this other weird stuff that goes with it. It's another layer. It's like an onion. Remember Shrek? The movie Shrek, it's another layer. So again, if you have questions, stay after a minute or two. I wanted to get you folks out the door for those of you who wanted to do the walk, because I'm sure there are going to be people waiting there. So, all right, we'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.